Okay, welcome to another episode of Panakal podcast for Geeks. The show about good friends hanging out, talking about things we love. I'm sorry it took me a minute because I'm trying to figure out if we're actually live. Oh, we're good. I was like, well, you know, I'm classic for audio issues when I go live, and I'm also I've been known to. I did a whole recording one day, and it apparently it only recorded 30 minutes of the whole call, so it was like, what just happened? Apparently, so people were like, you guys all just dropped 30 minutes in. So after that, now I have like Kurum on standby. He's checking stuff. I'm trying to stream on Facebook. I don't see it up here, so sorry guys, it's not there. I don't know what to tell you about that. But let's just get into it. So my guests today are Joanna Barnum and Tia Kinsman. And as I say it all the time, I am pointing right. We're going to talk about Halloween and Joanna's new Kickstarter. So before we went live, I asked you guys if you had any bullet points that we should hit. Because when I was talking to people about doing a Halloween episode, I had multiple reactions, right? Some people were like, Halloween? It's not Halloween. You're going to do a Halloween episode? And I was just like, yeah. And then I thought about it, and I was like, my friend Andrew Thompson put it best the other night. He said, Halloween is a state of mind. He's like, if you know, like obviously your guys' room looks like it's decked out for Halloween. Mine is.
Yeah.
I wanted to hang up the banner, Tia, that I got for me, but I have not cleaned my office, so I could not find it yet. But I'd say we just start with the Kickstarter first, just because I want to promote that before we forget. So congrats, by the way, you funded.
Thank you. Thank you. I funded. I know. I also just got Project We Love today.
Oh, you did?
Exciting. Yeah.
That's awesome. That means you're on the main page.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what happens.
I mean,
I'm kind of scared.
Yeah, I mean, what, you scared you won't be able to fulfill the orders, or?
No, I don't know why. I actually capped what I had available. I might open it up. I might add to that depending on how it's doing, like halfway through.
Yeah, you can add some stretch goals or something at the bottom.
Or just increase the amount. If it looks like it's gonna sell out, I'll have to evaluate if I can increase the amount and have the wherewithal to actually assemble them and get them shipped out on time, because I don't want to mess that up.
Because you got to get everything to people by October 1, basically, right?
Yeah. So the countdown, well, it's a Halloween countdown, so it's like an advent calendar, but for Halloween, kind of. But it doesn't start until October 18th. So I'm hoping to get them to people by the beginning of October, so they have them in time.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't know that. I was just like, I'm just gonna buy it because I liked it. I like the idea. I talked to you about this the other day. I really like the idea of it because it's kind of cool. It's like my kid does these things where she opens up the calendar every day, but you know, the old ones we had when we were kids had candy that came out of them, right?
Yeah.
Hers has individual like prizes, which I thought was kind of cool, right? Like she got like a race car or a dinosaur or something. So this kind of reminded me of that. In this case, you're getting artwork, right?
Yes, so. It's kind of like that. I really love those. But yeah, so it's a different art print each day. It's just the 2 weeks that lead up to Halloween, because doing 30 days of all new art and also working out, the printing for that seemed like it would be 30 days might be too much. So I did 2 weeks.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea. And I'm glad you got you.
Here, I'll hold it up.
Nice. Oh, you actually have them printed. Nice.
I do. I actually pre-made the Kickstarter technically, rather than waiting to fulfill it, because I was just scared about the time frame.
Okay.
So this is still just sort of a mock-up, though. It's not. I don't have them all assembled yet, but I did get most of the printing done.
I like the stamp too. So just because some people are saying they don't know if Tia's actually live, say something, Tia.
I am here.
There you are. I was like, we went through this audio issue in the beginning. It works.
We fixed it.
Well, just so anyone watching, there's a Kickstarter live right now. It's called Lanterns Burn Bright. it's up for another 29 days, but you should just get on it because apparently she's going to run out of supplies.
It could sell out in theory.
So get on it while the getting is good. It looks, you're close to, you're over your goal, which is great. And then you're close to some of the numbers you and I were talking about yesterday, which I'm not going to say live.
It's okay for me to actually break even on what I gambled on.
Yeah, but I think it's a unique idea. So that's why I was like, you were promoting this. You did a good job promoting this before. You're talking about it on, I believe it was your Patreon that I saw it on first. Yep, you're good.
Yeah, I documented the whole process on Patreon.
Yeah. Okay. Remind me to follow up with it before we end this call, okay? Because sometimes people join in a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then I'm just gonna go down my notes. Do you guys both live in Salem or just Tia?
I live like maybe 40 minutes out, so I don't have to deal with it like, in October when it's like a party, just the entire city all month long. But I'm there pretty frequently, every couple of months.
I think it was you and I that were talking about way back in the Discord channel about the Sleepy Hollow show, and I don't know if they filmed that in Salem or not, but I was always like, I kind of want to visit that town because it looks neat.
Yeah, I don't remember where they filmed it, but yeah, I love Salem. It's like, even aside from the witch stuff, it just has like a lot of amazing like old buildings, and I love the cemeteries, and everyone there is super nice. Like, it's very artistic, and they really support like handmade local stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Fun. So does like the whole town become kind of, so like it's trying to stick with this Halloween theme when, I always thought it would be kind of neat to live in a town like that, right? Where it's like fall and it always feels like that autumn Halloween vibe. But I feel like Salem's not like that year round. Maybe just
it's like, it's pretty much just a regular city most of the year, but usually mid-September-ish it starts getting kind of weird, and then it just goes full-blown Halloween every day, and there's just like thousands and thousands of people, and it's chaos, and it's amazing. But then, like, if you're trying to go to the grocery store, it's not so great because then it's like an hour to get through like one intersection.
Oof. Is it mainly tourists?
Yeah, there's a ton of tourists in October. Like, I think you have to book like at least a year in advance to get into some hotels, like the Hawthorne Hotel. I think you have to book like way in advance for that.
We visited during October a couple times, and we didn't actually stay in Salem either time because it seemed like impossible. We just took the train in from like the Boston area.
That sounds like a smarter play. I want to visit someday. I want to visit now, but now it sounds like my anxiety would kill me in there.
I mean, if you go like September, it's a lot more mellow, and there's still, it's still fall and spooky, and you can still go to all the witch museums and stuff, but not as many people.
Sure. Is the Hawthorne Hotel haunted?
From what I've heard, it definitely is. Like, there's weird stuff that happens in the little library basement thing they have. Some of the rooms like get cold spots, and you can hear feet up and down the hallways.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's a really nice hotel, though.
I remember. I would like to. There's a couple hotels in Chicago that are supposedly haunted, and I've done like night runs through those with my friends where we take photographs. Like, he's a photographer, so he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go take spooky photos if you want to come with." And you're like always walking through there. You're like, it would be nice if something happened, but you're also kind of like, I really don't want anything to happen. Yeah. But like the Drake Hotel, for example, Chicago, we've been on the floor when it was like really dark up there, and the manager was really chill about us taking photographs and stuff. But like the whole time I was apprehensive because I was like, I don't really know which way is out. Like, it's like I couldn't remember how the stairwell we came up. I was like, if something goes wrong here, I'm gonna be that guy in the horror movie running in the wrong direction, or locking myself in a room with something that's in the room already. Like, I saw all these scenarios in my head, and nothing ever happened. And he took a bunch of like beautiful photos, and even then I was like trying to see if that, people always say you see orbs and stuff, right? And that's the or you would just flat out see a ghost in the photo. Well, we didn't see jack shit. We got nothing. But it's a beautiful hotel. It's also, there's several buildings. So the thing with Chicago is there's I guess it's kind of like a horror Halloween story. But there's a boat that went down the river years ago. It had a ton of rich people on it, and it capsized. And when it capsized, all the bodies of the people that were either drowning or survivors got taken to surrounding buildings around Chicago. A lot of these buildings at the time were just buildings or some form of business, and a lot of people died in these buildings because there was enough space in the hospital, I guess, or something. So then supposedly these buildings were haunted by these spirits of people that died in random buildings. So like there was a what was it called? Damn, there's a club in Chicago. It looks like an old like Gothic building. The name's been changed so many times. My friend used to be a bartender there. Nobody ever wanted to go in the basement because the basement was where you would hear like breathing and like footsteps and stuff. And then she once like basically put all the chairs up on the table, left to go count the cash, and when she came out, the chairs were all down, like knocked over. Mm-hmm. And there's supposedly nobody else there with her. But I'm like, check the tapes, man. You know, like I can't remember what that place was called though, but I'm sure there's. I guess the Salem's probably super haunted because the witch trials, right? Were the witch trials actually in Salem? Yes, right? Yeah. That's got to be some high energy haunting, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because a lot of them weren't even witches; they were just like poor innocent girls that were just kind of like going crazy because
right.
It's really early time in Salem, and there's a lot of restrictions and stuff because of how religious it was. So
Oh, crazy people in the religion. That's another talk. Yeah, I try to look up some stuff on the Salem witch trials. There's a lot of, some of it's just disturbing. If anyone ever looked that stuff up. But another one of the things you guys mentioned was something called Dark Sum Online. Did I read that right?
Oh, yeah, Dark Sum. So we've both done a couple editions of this. It's an online, right now it's an online dark art and crafts market. Okay. It started as a series of in-person events in Pennsylvania. I never actually have gotten to do one of the in-person ones because they got changed because of the pandemic, but they've gone online, and she's done, the person who coordinates them, she's done a number of them. And they've gone, at least for me, they've gone really well. I think, I've been curious, how have they been for you?
Yeah, it's probably, I haven't really done many virtual events aside from that, but it's basically like an in-person show for me, like how much I get. So it's definitely worth it.
I compared to like the virtual versions of conventions I did last year, it's been like those weren't so great, but like these events have been amazing. And I guess it's just because dark art is and like spooky stuff is such a it's a small but like very specific niche.
Yeah.
It's definitely a community.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a lot so like I imagine it has a lot of like Halloween themes, like witches and ghosts and goblins and stuff like that. But does it have a lot of like? I notice a lot of Lovecraft stuff sells really well. Like
I'm gonna say that's a recurring theme.
Sure.
And a lot of Halloween iconography and general horror stuff and like goth, vampire, all that sort of.
Sounds like a fun event to attend. Oh wait, you said it's all online.
Well, right now it is. Originally, there were events in Pennsylvania, and there's going to be one in October in person in a cemetery in Philadelphia.
In a cemetery?
Yeah, it's a historic. There's a historic. Actually, there are a couple of them. I'm trying to remember the name of this specific one, but it's
Mount Myra.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mount Myra.
Wait, so people are just going to set up their boots and stuff like right next to a gravestone?
Yeah, so it's a really old historic cemetery that was just sort of abandoned for a long time, I think. So now there's like an organization that raises money to help maintain it, but it's not like an actively used cemetery. And they've started hosting events as a way to just like raise money and keep it maintained. So they have a lot of, I think, sort of like festivals and markets and things on the grounds.
Is it technically abandoned? I mean, it's a cemetery. It's freaky.
Well,
That's kind
abandoned, like I think no one was no
right.
one was responsible for it. Like nobody owned it, no one was maintaining it. Like the city wasn't responsible for it.
That sounds. It sounds cool, but it also sounds kind of creepy. But it actually sounds. But it's leaning more towards the cool side in my head because I think I would actually enjoy it. I don't know. Like, would you want to walk around somebody's grave?
I mean,
On somebody's grave?
I don't think you're literally set up on somebody's grave. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's more
Well,
towards like the road. It looks like kind of
Sure.
like in the grassy area before the cemetery.
And that's in Pennsylvania?
Yep.
in Philly, yeah.
in
Although
Philly?
that one is at the same time as LuxCon, so I
Oh.
probably won't be there. I'll be at
Yeah.
IX, but
I'll be at IX too. Are you
Yeah,
guys
I
both
might-
coming?
I might go to Darksome and then try to convince Brian to take a detour down to LuxCon for the night to hang out.
yeah, I guess it's close enough, right?
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
guys
it's
came
like
there
an hour,
last
I
year
think.
too for like a couple hours, I remember.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
we were at the
you
peanut-
just dumped out on
peanut
us.
place.
So I
Oh,
was
God.
really, Tia, I was really curious to ask you though, when we were back on the Salem topic, since you actually live in the area, I know that there are a lot of vendors, like crafters that set up like in Salem in town, like during the Halloween season. And I was always sort of curious about like, have you ever done that? What is that like?
Gotten to actually do like the outside stuff yet. I did apply for last year, but then the whole pandemic happened, so
Yeah.
obviously I wasn't there. But I am gonna try to do it this October. I've done like an indoor stuff. Like there's another show called Freaks, Antiques, and Uniques, and it's just the same stuff as Dark, some spooky, weird stuff, taxidermy, what have you, and I did a couple of those in October, and it's crazy, and I love it. Like everyone's in costume all the time, and everyone wants the most spooky Halloween thing they can get. And it's even better just because it's from Salem, so it has that memory for them.
Yeah.
So it's
That's what I was
amazing.
thinking. That's kind of neat, man. I mean, I feel like if I came, it would be like, I love Halloween so much. It would be like if I went to Disney or like Star Wars Galaxies, I would buy everything there. I would do the same thing if I was in Salem for one of these events. I would just come home with a ton of, like, the spookiest thing in this room right now is I have a dead bat over there in a cage, which my wife hates. Can you guys see that? No, hang on.
No, it's in the dark.
I can see a Grogu.
This is Bruce.
Whoa.
I love Bruce.
I still remember when I bought this. This guy was next to me at a show, and it was actually Walker Stalker, so it's Walking Dead theme. And then I messaged my wife at the time. We were dating at the time, and I said, "Hey, is it cool if I buy this?" And she said, "Go with your heart," which actually meant don't fucking buy it. But
You were supposed to guess that you weren't supposed to buy it.
yeah, I was just like, I'm gonna buy
Your
it.
heart says no.
My heart says, buy this bat and bring it home with you. The guy had a lot of weird things. And that's oh, I also have, I don't have too many, like, Halloween things as much as I'd like. I got this Rook skull.
Oh, that's
nice.
really cool.
Which is old, super old. I've had this forever. But, I would like to, actually, do you guys know Brianna, who's in our Rusty too? Her and I were talking. I was like, I'd love to deck this. I finally have my own studio to look like fall or Halloween, but not. I don't want it to look like a haunted house when you walk in. Like I don't want it to be like so creepy. People are like, I don't want to really come into your studio, man.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm making my kitchen Halloween themed. So it's like all vintage like Halloween
cool.
decorations, like the blown glass molds and stuff. That's what I'm working on.
I've been trying for a couple weeks to slowly tell my wife that like the living room should kind of turn into like a fall theme, like, but I don't know if she'll let me keep that all year. Like, I think one of those things I love about Halloween is the fact that it's in that season that I love so much, But back to the Halloween topic, because nobody gives a shit about my studio. We were also talking about movies or shows like that we used to watch as kids that were probably Halloween themed, and you guys mentioned Afraid of the Dark and Tales from the Crypt, which I didn't see that till right before we went live, but I was thinking about Tales from the Dark Side was something I used to watch all the time.
That one I don't think I've seen specifically, at least not as a kid.
It's the same like idea. They're like short stories that were super creepy. but it had like this intro of like this dark forest, like whoever the character was in the intro was lost in the forest. And I used to watch it with my mom all the time, and it scared the crap out of me. And then just recently, I think Guillermo del Toro rebooted it. I can't remember.
He did a movie like based on the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
That's
right.
what it
That
was.
was Guillermo del Toro. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it. It was interesting to see some of the illustrations from the books kind of brought to life, but it was totally just different in spirit from the storybooks. I mean, it was just, I guess the books were more of a jumping off point for something new.
Sure.
If it was like judged by its own thing, it's pretty good like on its own. Definitely, I mean, it definitely has flavors from the original stories, but it's a lot more, modernized and
that's what I was gonna
made
say.
safe for kids and stuff. Of course,
Oh, they made it safe for kids? Oh, man.
The kids are soft these days.
Yeah, they are. We saw, like, I was talking to one of my cousins last week about, like, his kid, mine, I guess it would be my cousin too. His kid can't like watch like just basic horror, easygoing, nothing wild, jump scene movies without having nightmares for like days. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, I used to watch like Hellraiser. I mean, that scared the shit out of me, but I watched it.
I've made like an interesting observation though about like my sort of interest in Halloween stuff and horror stuff, and that a lot of it goes back to stuff like Halloween related stuff that I loved in childhood, but not then I spent a period of time when I got older like not that interested in horror, because I think when I moved from sort of like horror or spooky stuff aimed at kids that I liked, like adult horror was like too much for me. So like I didn't like move into as much of an interest in like mainstream adult horror movies until like just really in the past few years. Like I didn't really grow up watching them.
Sure.
A lot of my like childhood spooky stuff are like kids spooky books, the Halloween Tree cartoon, even the Ed Emberley drawing books. Did you guys ever have any of those? There was an orange one. There were different colored ones, and there was an orange one, and it was all like Halloween stuff.
Ed Emberley.
Oh, but it sounds like something I would have loved.
Oh yeah. I definitely remember the Halloween Tree. I don't think I've ever seen the. Oh yeah, here's this Halloween drawing book. That's cool. I don't think I've ever seen the Halloween Tree cartoon though.
I saw the Halloween Tree cartoon before I actually started reading Ray Bradbury when I got a little older. They made it, I guess they made it like in the 90s sometime, I think. And it's a pretty good adaptation of the book. And I think Ray Bradbury he did the script for it based on his story. So it's very like in the spirit of the original story.
Well, that's smart of him because his books are very specific to. I don't want to go into a Bradbury talk. That's a whole different thing. But I love it when authors are like, I'll write the script. I'll tell you exactly what you should be filming versus Stephen King is one of my favorites, but it seems like he's always like, go ahead, man. Do whatever you want with it. Oh,
whatever.
Yeah. Oh, is that my check? See you guys later. Like
is this even the same movie? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And then he just goes to Wendy's or whatever.
No, he goes to Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh,
gotta get a wicked cold iced coffee.
Yeah, I mean, like those like a lot of. I mean, I grew up on. So like I was the opposite. I had cousins who constantly watched like the scariest of the scariest movies, and I was a kid who always wanted to hang out with his cousins. So my only way I can do that is by watching these flicks with them, right? Like that was how I get to hang with my cousins. And I guess I got a little desensitized to them, but I would always have that. I ebb and flowed between wanting that high from being scared and then not wanting the scare, right? Because it would be hard to sleep. So it was all puppies and rainbows during the day, but then it was total fear at night where I had to go into my own room and go to bed. And
Yeah, I think I definitely had the love-hate relationship with some of the stuff that I read as a kid, where I wanted to, it was like, it's like this weird, like, you can't look away. It's like I wanted to read all this scary stuff, but then I was terrified of it.
yeah, I mean, I read, since we're talking about books, there's a book called Hell House by Richard Have you guys ever read Richard Matheson?
I don't think so.
He wrote he's write a ton of screenplays for like Twilight Zone, like the famous one with the gremlin on the wing of the airplane. That's Matheson. The I Am Legend with Will Smith it's an okay movie, but the book is, if you've never read I Am Legend, anyone watching, you should take the time to read I Am Legend. It is an amazing book about this dude trying to survive what appears to be vampires trying to hunt him down. But Matheson has a way, so he inspired a lot of Stephen King's writing. So if you don't like King, you probably won't like Matheson. But it's very detailed writing to the point where you feel like, if you read I Am Legend, you will feel like you're that person trying to survive that environment. And he has a book called Hell House, which there's an old movie. I think it's like 1972 or 1976. It's super old, but it's actually really done really well. It's basically these people go into a haunted house, and there's clearly an entity in there, doesn't want him there. And one dude's like a paranormal expert, one dude's a psychologist. There's always a psychologist in the group, right? It's like, why is that person there? Like, what? Like,
But how does the ghost feel?
Yeah, like you're scared. They're like, are you scared? Do you feel nervous? Yeah, bitch. There's a ghost in the house with me. You know, like what do you want me to say? But Hell House it's one of the few books that I would read at home downstairs in the living room, and I would be scared of my own house, and just trying to get up to my room was an adventure, because that's how good this book was. And if you haven't read Hell House, I highly recommend it. You can get it for like $5 probably on Amazon. It's so old. You can probably get a used bookstore probably for $1. But Richard
I'll put them on my list.
Yeah, everyone should read Richard Matheson if you haven't. He's an amazing writer. You could totally see where his if you read him and you've read King, you can see some influences in the writing there. Obviously, Lovecraft also inspired King. He inspires almost every horror writer, but you know, there's a whole bag of shit there to deal with. So if you know Lovecraft. So I can't remember where I was going with this rant. Halloween. That's, you know, that is a good, so I do a thing. I don't know what you guys do for, let's go here. I don't know what you guys do for around October, but I do a thing. As soon as October 1, I used to watch a different horror flick per night. Life got busy, so it's a lot harder to do that.
Yeah, we've tried to kind of do that before, and I don't think I've ever managed to actually do it. But
I mean,
Sleepy Hollow gets brought out a lot more around Halloween time.
Who was it? Somebody in our group. I think it's Brianna's husband or her partner. I can't remember. So sorry, Bri, if you're not married. But he put together that crazy spreadsheet. Remember?
Yeah,
so,
we were like building that list.
Yeah, so Joanna, I'll share the list with you later. But he basically put together a spreadsheet, and it's all horror movies. Like, you're talking from like westerns to sci-fi to whatever genre there is. And then he separated it by like how suspenseful it is. And like there's all these categories. It's insane. Apparently this dude loves spreadsheets, which is kudos to you, man. But I use that
I would definitely be curious to see that.
It's unfortunately I can't share with everybody, so but I will send it to you because you know it's private. But
it has always been my great sadness as an adult that adults don't get to go trick or treating if you don't have kids to take.
Yep.
Yes,
because that was like the best thing about Halloween.
I still try to enjoy the. Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying because let me put it this way: I have a kid. The feeling is still not there. I can't. It's not like I can walk up to the door and be like trick or treat. You know. I
always thought about doing it. I mean, short,
I don't think anyone would fault you.
Putting on a mask and
you're just a high schooler trick or treating. I don't think anyone's gonna fault you for it if you did it. I guess it depends on where you live. Like I try to embrace like just the nostalgia of watching her go up to the door and say trick or treat with my nieces and nephews, and yeah, those. And the thing is, it's a whole different vibe, right? I feel like when I was a kid, my parents would just be like, "Go, come back if the sun goes down." My mom used to tell me,
Yeah.
my mom used to say, "You need to get back to the house with the sun set because the witches come out when it gets dark."
Oh, really? I like once we got older, it was sort of like you didn't really start trick-or-treating until it got dark.
So we would start around dusk, like as it's going down, and my mom would say the witches, my dad would say the goblins. So in my head, witches and goblins were gonna fucking pop out as soon as that sun dipped out of the sky, right? And I was a kid who read a lot. I was watching horror movies, reading horror movies. Everything was real to me at that time. You look up at I literally remember holding my sister's hand, looking up at the sky, like, I think we got like 10 more minutes of daylight. Let's see if we can hit 2 more houses and then start walking home, right? Because I did not want to be outside dealing with that chaos. And I would always look out the window, like, where? But
Where are the witches and
yeah.
goblins?
Hide.
Wasn't brave enough to step outside though, right? Because my mom would be like, "Oh, they're in the sky. You just can't see them," And it's like, cool.
Yeah, my dad would always take me, and he knew like all the back roads in our neighborhood. So he would hit all like the old ladies' houses that never got any kids. So I'd end up getting like 3 bags each house.
That's
It's
awesome.
just like the best feeling ever. And whenever we like took friends when I got a little bit older and had friends, I was like, "You guys, like you don't even understand."
You
It
gave
felt
up
like
your
a secret club.
secrets. You're not supposed to give up the secrets.
The neighborhood we live in now, we don't even get trick-or-treaters at our door, which is really sad to me. In our old
Yep.
neighborhood, at least I got to answer the door to the trick-or-treaters, which is like almost as fun, especially if you like dress up to do it.
Yeah, so my sister and I would always be dressed up because at some point we'd duck out too, but we would be dressed up at the door. My sister would not give you candy if you didn't say trick or treat or happy Halloween. Like, some kids just show up and just like stand there and you're like, "What do you say?" And it's like, come on, man, it's not that hard. The craziest kids, my parents live in a suburb, about 30 minutes away from me, and there was these kids on the block. I won't tell you where it was because I don't want to. If these kids are watching, I don't know. But they used to walk up to the door, and for starters, that family didn't give away candy. They gave away these tiny little books about how the Satan rises on Halloween.
Man.
All right. As an artist, I would say it was drawn really well. Like it had like this scary looking image of Satan like pushing out of the ground. And then he looked a little bit like Krampus. He was like running around picking up kids and throwing them into a sack. And he was like killing kids, man. Like he was out there collecting souls, I guess. But then these kids. So here's the thing. They got you out there. They got you books because they don't want to give you candy for Halloween. But then they would send their kids out to go trick-or-treating. Which I was like, this is some bogus ass shit, man. And they wouldn't say trick or treat. When they came to your door, they would say, "God bless the harvest." That sounded like some crazy ass Children of the Corn shit to me when I first heard it. I was like,
you'd be like running through your bushes with a scythe and
yeah. I mean, they were two
Malachi.
They were 2 blonde-haired white kids, man. So in my head, I was like, "There's some crazy Children of the Corn." I remember the first time I said it, my sister and I both were like, "What?" And they were like, "God bless the harvest." And my sister was like, "Trick or treat." And they would not say trick or treat. I was like, I don't think they're allowed to say it. Just give them some candy so they go the fuck away. Like.
They tried.
They were creepy, man. And I just saw they moved away as I started college. They moved away. But I just remember that house because they didn't decorate all season. Nothing was there's no decorations. But Halloween, that book, man. I remember the first time I saw it because I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "This is a creep." And I couldn't put the 2 and 2 together initially. I was like, "Who threw this in the bag? Which house did we get this at?" Right? Because you're on a high when you're collecting candy. And then some of my friends who went around the block with me were like, "It's that house right there." I don't know what religion they were. Children of the Corn. What religion is that? But I remember those are the kind of memories I like. It's at that time was weird and kind of awkward and scary to me, but thinking obviously now I'm laughing about it because it was funny later, right? You're like, that's a good Halloween memory, like my parents obviously trying to scare me to come home at that time was super scary, but now I think about it, I'm like, that was actually pretty clever because in Chicago, my parents are always busy doing work or whatever, so they couldn't, sometimes they'd be late coming home, so they'd be like, take your sister, lock the door, go trick-or-treating, which I would never do to my kid right now. I feel like my kid would get kidnapped in a heartbeat, or she would just forget how to fucking come home, but I feel like it was a different time. I sound like an old person. Oh, it was a different time, I don't know. But I like that nostalgia.
It does feel like, I don't know, it does seem like in a lot of areas, like trick-or-treating, like, is sort of dying out.
Yep. Chicago, I felt like, obviously last year we had a pandemic, so it was a little harder for trick-or-treat. I mean, some areas still did it. I went to my sister's neighborhood, and kids were walking around with masks on. They still got it done. People got elaborate. There was one dude who designed a crazy dragon head, like a neck with a head, and he would pop the candy on one side, it would flow down to the bag on the other side, so he social distanced that way, which I thought was smart. This year, hopefully, it's normal, and but yeah, like you said, Joanna, a lot of areas I feel like they're giving up on things, and I don't know why. Especially Halloween.
Yeah, I don't know because the neighborhoods just don't have enough kids in them, like in particular neighborhoods, like, and I think our neighborhood we're just not in the right spot. We're like on a dead end street.
You got to give away the big candy.
I always have candy just in case.
We have like a bunch of old people in my neighborhood, so I don't think they want candy. Well, they might, but I don't think they're going to go trick-or-treating for it.
And now, like, trunk or treat is the thing now that people do. I guess that's supposed to be safer because everybody's worried. But we planned some Halloween tourism this year. In October, we're going to go up to Haunted Overload in New Hampshire.
Oh, nice.
Which is like, it's a haunted forest, but it's like one that has permanent infrastructure that I've seen pictures of it online and it looks really crazy. I've always wanted to see it, so we're gonna like take a trip like just to do that and like see national parks and stuff up there too. But
that sounds I'm half and half on haunted houses, mainly because I don't like things jumping on and scaring me.
So this, you can do certain nights and also certain days where you can just walk through and see all the stuff and not have people jump out at you.
Okay.
Which I think is cool because I don't necessarily want people jumping out. I mean, I've done it before, but like I just want to see all the sets. I want to take my time and like look at all this cool stuff and not have people chasing me.
Yeah.
We did a drive-through like haunted experience during the pandemic, which was kind of cool. I kind of liked it because it felt a certain sense of safety in the car. Like
it's like a haunted hayride, but you can roll the window up. you're like, nope.
The scariest part was when clowns came up to the car and they all had really loud bicycle horns, and so they were standing right there. You could see them, but you didn't know when they were gonna like honk the horn at you. Up.
Yeah.
Scary.
See, I love them.
You like haunted houses?
Oh yeah. There's another one around here called Witch's Woods, and it's like at a ski park. I don't know, maybe half hour away. And oh my god, the first time we went there, I must have been around 8, and we went on the hayride. And because I was 8 and terrified, I was up there like with my knees up like this on the edge of the platform. So obviously the actors are like, I know.
Yeah, you're a target.
So a zombie with a chainsaw ended up actually pinning me to the back of the truck. And I just started screaming, "Don't eat me!" my mom and dad were just laughing their asses off, looking at me like, "Oh my god, this kid."
Classic parents just laughing at your misery.
But we went, I think the year before the pandemic, I went with my mom again, and we had a couple little nips, and we were feeling pretty good. So that was my redemption hayride. And I ended up hitting on the actors instead, and I was like, "Yeah!" And they were into it. So
that's pretty much the only way I could go through a haunted. Like when I was younger, my teens and my 20s, I had no problems. I would go with my sister liked haunted houses, my cousins loved them, my friends loved them. I'd be like, "Sure, let's go, let's get a quick scare." But I feel like as I got older, I was like, I didn't like the idea of thing. I don't obviously I watch horror movies, so that's jump scares, whatever. But I didn't like the idea of like, there's a haunted house here that had like, you'd stand against a wall and the wall would push you forward towards the cage you're trying to stay away from, right? And I still remember like, here's a funny story. I'll tell you guys two quick funny stories. There's, I went into a wax museum. I was told it was a wax museum in Canada. I was in Canada by Niagara Falls. Okay, so it was at Toronto. I asked the guy, it looked like a haunted house. So before I walked in, my uncle was like, here, you can kill some time here. We have to go. They had to go do something, and I didn't want to spend time with them. I think I was like 15, because I couldn't drive yet, if I remember. And he said, you want to hang out at this wax museum? And it said Science Fiction Fantasy Wax Museum. I asked the guy at the front desk, is this a haunted house? He said, no, it's not. I said, okay. And I went in, and it was, in fact, a wax museum. There were, like, Star Wars and some movie monsters and stuff. But then we get to this one part that looks like Area 51. I thought, oh, this is kind of neat. And we walk in, there's a real dude comes out. He's a scientist. There's a alien in front of him. And I thought, oh, this is like a actor and an alien. And as he starts his spiel, the alien behind him in the other side of the room stands up and runs out of the fucking room. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. That dude is like, oh shit, it broke free. And he runs to a door and leaves. And I'm there, I believe, I was in high school. And there was a couple younger kids behind me. They all line up behind me because I'm apparently the oldest one in the group now. And I was like, what's happening right now? And the kids were like, this is the haunted house part of it. I was like, no. like, I don't want to be here. So I had to like navigate this thing with like 6 kids pressed up against my back who are way more scared than I was. I was shaking, okay? Because like I said, and this alien would pop out. It was like dark hallways. This fucking thing would pop out every once in a while. I get out of I make my way through it, right? I fucking man up and get through it. When I get outside, my dad and my uncle were both like, I was like white, apparently, because I was shook. And I was like, it's a haunted house. I remember I walked straight up to the front counter and I was like, you fucking lied to me. I dropped so many F-bombs in front of my dad that day. I was pissed. And the guy was just like kind of laughing at me. I'm like, dude, that's not cool, man. Like, what if I had a bad heart or something? Second part of the story is 3 weeks later, we're in Wisconsin Dells. And it's my sister and my uncle, Father Bosco. And there's another wax museum. They're like, hey, you want to go in the wax museum? Ha, ha, ha. And I'm just like, fuck you guys. Yeah, I said that to a priest, by the way. But I'm like, I don't want to go in there because he walked up and talked to them and assured me it's not a haunted house. And it wasn't. It was a wax museum. It was actually pretty cool. Except when you walk through a dark wax museum, there's usually... So I had this feeling somebody was behind me. And I kept saying, hey, man, I think there's somebody back there. And what it is there's a dude with a robe on following you to make sure you make your way out. And you get that feeling you're being followed? And I kept looking over my shoulder. I'm like, man, there's somebody back there. And my sister was like, you're just scared. And my sister's watching. She's probably laughing her ass off right now. She was like, you're just scared of what happened in Canada. Don't worry. And then this dude bumped into me. And I screamed, swore in front of a priest, and jumped forward like 5 feet. And the dude took his hood off real quick. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm like, shut up, man. You just ruined my day. And my family never lets that story down, man. So needless to say, I don't go to haunted houses anymore. I feel like
when I go in them, my defense mechanism of like not wanting people to jump out at me and scare me is that I like look around for the actors and I just like say hi to them the whole time. I'm like, oh hi. Oh, hi there. Like, my husband gives me a hard time about it. He's just like, you're ruining those actors' experiences. You're like telling them they're not scary. And I'm like, I'm trying to like keep
they're in the zone.
Like,
have you seen that? There's a show on I want to say it was Netflix, and it's about haunted houses all over. Like, these haunted houses exist year round. Not just for Halloween. Well, I think some of them are only come around in October. But there's one that's like, I would never go into it. This guy's apparently being sued by a bunch of people now. But he makes
extreme ones. Yeah, I would never do that. No, I would never. Absolutely not. No.
He makes people sign a
waiver. Yeah.
Yep. And I was like, if you have to sign a waiver, you probably should not go in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen videos. I might have even seen that one. It's just like, why would you pay for that? Like, you're literally being tortured for...
Yeah.
I mean, some of them go for like, what, 6-7 hours sometimes? I was like...
That's too long, man. I mean, I would probably not last more than 20... I mean, no. Let's just say no.
No, no, I'm just gonna walk through the maze and people are gonna jump out and say boo, and that's gonna be fine.
I mean, we did like a haunted hayride, which was fine. We did over here we have they do a pumpkin patch slash maze in the cornfields, which is on itself pretty scary because you can't see over the corn, right? And you're like,
And some children might come out and say, "God bless the harvest."
oh my God, those fucking kids. That's that's probably the
Pull you
scariest
into the
thing.
corn and you'll never be heard from again.
Have you guys ever read Children of the Corn? It's a Stephen King short.
No,
You
I've
should.
only seen
I
the
don't
movie.
think
I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
I haven't
I
read
mean,
it.
it's literally a 20-page short story turned into a fucking hour and a half long movie. But
Several movies, right? Is there more than one?
There might be more.
oh yeah, there's more. There's absolutely. There's
Yeah.
like 7 or 8. And those kids got older. They had kids of their own to feed. I don't know.
One of my favorite things that we have here locally is not a haunted house, but there's a local like topiary, like historical topiary garden, and they do in October for a couple days they do a garden glow where volunteers just cover like the whole place in jack-o'-lanterns and like outdoor art installations and stuff. So it's not a haunted house. It's just like really pretty. It's just like thousands of jack-o'-lanterns.
I was just looking that thing up because it's in Philly, and there's one coming to Chicago. It's where they make the sculpts and stuff out of the jack-o'-lanterns, right? Like dinosaurs.
I mean, this one is just a small place in Maryland.
Okay.
But I think different places, like I think there are places in various areas like botanical gardens and things like that will do similar events.
My friend just told me about this. It's basically like it had these, and it's I don't know how long it's around for, but it has these elaborate sculpts that are all jack-o'-lanterns, and I was like, that's kind of neat. How long does that stay around? Because I remember I carved a pumpkin once a week too early, and it was pretty rotten by Halloween.
I think they're usually, at least this one is only like 2 or 3 days that they do it.
Exactly. That makes sense. So
and there's also, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I heard in West Virginia, there's also there's a pumpkin house, like a little town that does a festival, and there's this one house that I guess became famous for like covering the whole house in jack-o'-lanterns. And I have not seen it in person, but if they do it this year, I'm gonna try to go out and see it.
That sounds interesting. What'd you say?
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It sounds like you're just sitting there carving pumpkin. I mean, I guess if you're making a sculpt out of it, it's a lot of work too.
I mean, I think the whole town like carves pumpkins.
Sure. That sounds. I mean, I was gonna say what do you guys do for Halloween as far as like decorating? Like this is my first time. I finally own a house, so it's my time to shine. I used to always decorate the shit out of the front lawn and stuff in my parents' house, but my dad's rule was always, literally the day after Halloween, I had to take it all down. Like there was no, can I have a couple days? Can I take my time? It had to all come down. I plan on decorating the shit out of this front lawn.
We do a lot of jack-o'-lanterns, but I've always wanted to do more elaborate decorations. You would think that we would, and mostly these days I feel like I'm usually just too busy with like work in October, like beach week, different events and whatever,
Sure.
that I just don't prioritize it.
Yeah. I mean, my October decorations are up like all the time. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet Tia's house looks the way it's supposed to already.
I think
wanna see
Michael's
this Halloween
starting to come
kitchen.
out with their Halloween stuff soon, so I'm gonna have to go scavenge their Halloween decorations. But yeah, I mean, it's not like a lot yet, but I have like little statues of like vintage looking pumpkins and stuff, and I made curtains with like little pumpkins and bats and things on it, so we're getting there. It'll be cute when it's done.
I'm trying to decide if I want to go scary. Like when I was younger, my parents, I had gravestones with mounds of dirt and like skeleton hands that they glowed at night, so like during the day it just looked like a skeleton coming out of the ground. I made a Grim Reaper once, I remember, that moved in the corner. And the craziest thing my friend and we made a scarecrow once with like a pumpkin head, and we put like a glow stick in it, and then for Halloween we put a jack-o'-lantern up there instead because it's just one night. and I was just like, let's put the jack-o'-lantern up there. I did not put a candle in it because my dad said it was a fire hazard, even though I don't know how the lawn was going to light up. So I would like to do stuff like that. We'll see how this neighborhood is. These people seem very chill, so I don't want to be like, oh great, this guy moved in and his house is scary as fuck, but I have ideas, and I feel like my wife won't front on it, so we'll see. I'm trying to think if there's some other points that we want to hit about Halloween, because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to Halloween. We should definitely talk about this in October too. Books and shows, we talked about books and shows already.
It is interesting.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting how there is like this small devoted subculture online of like Halloween all year long people. And also like in terms of like fashion and collectibles and stuff like that. Not just like it's like really like there's a Venn diagram with people who are like horror fans, but it's a slightly different like group with some overlap of people that are into like really cute Halloween stuff, or almost like and then there's like an overlap between like Halloween stuff and like Disney fans that has like a certain overlap, like people who love the Haunted Mansion at Disney, and who there's a subculture people. This is sort of how I got into like the Halloween sort of, I don't know, part of the Halloween subculture online is that there's a company that makes purses shaped like pumpkins that have like a rabid following of collectors. And now like that's a whole thing. Like there are all these different artists that are making Halloween themed purses that people just collect like crazy. Yeah, I have a pumpkin bag.
Yeah, I got the Sleepy Hollow one from La Femme and Noir. It's like a huge pumpkin bag, and it's like 3D, and it's amazing.
That sounds
every
like
time I use it, people are like, "That's Tia's bag." I'm like, "Yeah."
I carry a pumpkin purse all year.
Yep.
Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, the nostalgia for it's always been there. If you, especially like, clearly it's you guys both love Halloween. You see Tia's work, I see Joanna's work. I mean, even your Kickstarter has got what looks like a haunted mansion. So like that's kind of neat, right? So you're kind of sticking to your. I don't really do any Halloween stuff. I'm trying to work on a fall piece right now, and I'm failing miserably at it. Claire, I'm sorry.
I'm in trouble imagining fall in psychedelic outer space. Like I don't know what that.
So I didn't want to. So like I didn't want to stick to the wild pinks and purples on this one. I purposely leaned towards fall colors. So I'm trying to do more of like a neon orange, and orange is a color I have done a piece in orange, but not too many. And it's a color, and it's a hard theme because like oranges and neon greens, and it's not. It'll click. It always does. It's just a matter of pacing myself out, and I feel bad for Claire because she's been really patient, waiting for me to get stuff done. And
yeah, she's been patient with all of us.
Yes. We're all working on a project for her, and we're not the only ones behind, right? Everyone's behind. So
yeah,
is it
a
secret project? Can you say what it is?
I don't know if I should talk about it, but I'll say there's a bunch of illustrators working on it. So I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet. So
yeah, I don't know.
Let's just assume for now, unless she chimes in, that is a secret. But yeah, like so in my head, I was trying to design it like with that feeling of Halloween or autumn. So it's got a little bit of the scary, which would be the sci-fi fantasy angle, and a little bit of the autumn, which would be the colors. And I just haven't clicked yet. I do have thumbnails and ideas for it. It's just trying to put it to the image is taking a minute, but yeah, man. I don't know. Or what Kurum said, or not working on it. So Kurum is not working on his part of the project, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, this person again? Seriously? Give me 1 second, guys. I always get, oh wow, this guy is just pissing me off now. Bots.
You have a troll?
No, I just get these bots that say, want to be famous, buy followers, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I'm just going to ignore it for now. Everyone can just ignore that because I don't feel like dealing with it. I need to set up a better bot, clearly. That just happens. Welcome to Shooting Live. I was trying to think of other Halloween, like we talked about haunted houses. Haunted houses was one of those themes that it just goes hand in hand. Oh, what's a cool thing when I was growing up was there's a park next to it. We lived across the street from a park. I do now again, which is kind of neat. I don't know what this park does for Halloween, but the park where I grew up in Chicago, they would block off sections of it, and then they would have like a haunted walk through the park,
Oh,
which
cool.
which is pretty scary because there would be your Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and stuff, and there'd be a Freddy Krueger in there, right? Because those are scary things when I was growing up. But I remember once, my uncle, he had just come from India. He was working, I forget where he was working, but he got off at the bus stop, and instead of walking on the sidewalk to come home, he decided to cut through the park, and he didn't realize this shit was happening. Like he's literally fresh off the boat. And he came home and he was just like, like this he somehow went into the wrong part of it. So the actors did what they were paid to do. They scared the shit out of him, right? He was describing it to us, and neither of us, like, I remember my dad was like, what is he talking about? He's like, there's a guy with a knife, and he was wearing a mask, and he was like walking behind me really slowly, and I don't know it probably was Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, but I remember he was shook. He was just scared, and I'm just like, what is happening at the park? And I was talking to my other friend Art, and he was like, the haunting stuff is happening. And then I was like, dude, I think you walked through the haunt. And then we walked over there and, showed it to him. And because this dude was so scared, I was just like, that guy right over there? I'm like, but I remember loving that. And they don't really do stuff like that is my point. That's where I was going with this. Like, I'm hopeful that we moved out of Chicago, right? We live in a town, a suburb of Chicago now. And I'm hopeful this area does some cool holiday stuff. We moved in around Christmas. We started the look to move around holidays, and I didn't see anything out here. So hopefully.
It was still peak pandemic time, so.
Yeah, it was towards the end of that year, so you're right. So, people were talking about how they used to do like the taste of, the town and all that. So I'm hoping for Halloween there's some cool stuff, because this park is prime for a haunted park, man. I would work it.
The next town over has a park that does that. I don't know. Obviously, they didn't do it last year, but I think a couple years ago they were still doing it. It was just like a little haunted park thing.
When I was a kid, there was a nature center in our area that did like a haunted walk through the nature center. That was pretty cool. Like through like a forest trail.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need, man. Those are the kind of, I feel like those are the kind of things we need to set up, right? Because people aren't going to do it.
Yeah, you just have to start your own haunted attraction for the season.
I don't want to get sued. That's what
I'm really excited. There's a place nearby. It's called the S.K. Pierce Mansion, and I guess it's like supposed to be super haunted with like demon spirits and stuff. And most people that have moved in there haven't lasted like a week, and they moved back out. So I guess some like attraction place bought the house, and they're redoing it to be like a haunted house, like bed and breakfast kind of deal. So I guess you can like stay the night in the super haunted house and see what happens. But they actually made it look super cool. Like they redid the paint outside, and it's like all black and purple and like charcoal gray, and it's a super old Victorian house. So it's like, yeah, I want to live there.
That sounds like a cool thing to check. I mean, I don't know if I'd stay in a haunted house or not. That's what I'm happy. I have stayed in a haunted house, a haunted mansion. My friend's stepdad, his sister or his aunt is in Mississippi. We were on our way up to not Mississippi, Minnesota. We were on our way up to Minnesota to go fishing, and I remember we stopped at this lady's house, and she was really friendly, but she said, "Hey, just so you know, the house is haunted." And the story was it's a ghost of an old Civil War hero, I believe, soldier who came home. His family was gone, and he was miserable. And then basically, at night you could hear him walking the hallways. And she said when you go to sleep at night, make sure you lock the door, close the door, and at least, because otherwise, and lock it, because it will walk. The doors will open, he'll walk in, and you'll hear him walking around and stuff. And at first I was like, sure, lady. I mean, I still closed the door and locked it. And my friend and I remember we heard footsteps in the hallway, and I looked through the keyhole was looking into the hallway. I didn't see anything, but the doorknob moved, and it scared the fuck out of me. And I remember we pushed the bed, which was in the middle of the room, all the way to the other side against the window. And I still remember that night because I had to go to the bathroom at one point so bad, and she lived in this creepy mansion. I was like, I am not opening that door. So I pissed out the window. That's anyone watching, you're welcome for that story. But I remember in the mornings, like, we didn't sleep, right? My friend and I were so, like, just nervous energy, like, scared that the door might open up and this thing might walk in with us. But she was so calm when she was telling us the story. She said basically when she bought the house, nobody told her about that. And then what would happen was, like, she would hear the footsteps and doors would open and close that weren't locked, so like closet doors and stuff. And then they had a what do you call it, like a medium or a psychic or something come through, and the solution was just lock your door. And you would sometimes hear the door handle jiggle, but like it kind of goes back to what my cousins would always say: if something's not harming you, it's fine, just let it be. So like this lady kind of had the same attitude, which was like it never hurt anybody in the house. It's just loud, right? So
pretty sure my house is actually haunted too. The previous owner, he died of a heart attack in the basement, and sometimes like the basement door will just kind of open on its own, or like it'll feel like something is like behind me, and I can feel like the back of my neck getting all prickly. And I don't know, it's just weird stuff happens sometimes. We just yell at him and he stops.
Yeah, you said that. I was just like, does that work? I was fairly certain that my mother-in-law's house was haunted because, like, when we were before we were married, my wife and I was always adamant about not sharing a room. So I would sleep in her I think it was her old room. And, you know, I remember one night she was like, I'm going to stay up late with my mom, so we're going to couch crash outside. You take the room. I was like, I'll take the couch. And then she's like, no, you take the room. I was like, whatever. And I remember in the middle of the night, I got up to use the bathroom. In Chicago, you usually have that mud room when you walk in, and then the second door. That secondary door, just like, you heard the catch click, and the door opened up real slow. And I thought, oh shit, someone's breaking into the house. Chicago, right? And I remember I like grabbed, you know, I think it was like a kid's wiffle bat or whatever was there. And I walked up by the door and looked, there's nothing. And I thought, okay. I pushed the door back in. I thought maybe they didn't close it all the way. And I clicked it into place. I felt it catch. Went to the bathroom, came back out, the door did it again. I was like, fuck this shit. And like I went into the room that I was sleeping in, just closed the door, locked it, and I just went to sleep. But I told them in the morning, and they were laughing at me. They're just like, no man, it's nothing. That door does that all the time. I'm like, you should be worried that the door does that all the time. Like,
maybe or it just doesn't latch securely.
I'm hoping that's what it was but I never feel like every time like they're outside in the backyard or something and I take a nap on the couch, I always have this, you know, you ever like wake up with this feeling like something's staring at you?
Yep.
Every fucking time. So like
only if I get like sleep paralysis. Sometimes I get like mild sleep paralysis where you like are partially awake and but you can't move. And like I think it's been described like some people will that's when they're in that state, some people will actually think that there's someone or something in the room with them, and it's like a symptom of like the sleep paralysis. And I've never had it like that literally, but like I've like kind of like woken up out of dreams, and it's like a very creepy feeling, like you're still in the nightmare but you're in your room until you like wake yourself up fully.
No, that kind of stuff, it's like that's the kind of stuff that I like, that the Halloween vibe, as long as it's not happening to me. That's what it feels like, right? Like I had a friend whose dog would always bark down the hallway at something, and you're like, what do you see that I'm not seeing, man? You know, like, and I remember the closet door in the hallway just closed, just boosh, and I was just like, I gotta go home. You know, like I just dipped out, and I was like, no, I'm not hanging out here anymore.
Well, I hope there's nothing creepy about your new house.
You know, there's some weird noises at night, which I chalk up to it being an old house, and I hear sounds. Like there is a floor like somewhere in the middle. If I step in this studio, it creaks in the hallway, which is fucking weird. So they must be all rubbing together. But the first time it did it, I was like, that came up from the hallway. You know, there's nobody here but me.
Didn't you find that BB gun in your attic?
That's right. And then my wife threw it away, and everybody was like, "You just threw away the weapon that was keeping the ghosts at bay." You know. Yeah, we went in the attic and found this old BB gun. It's like, what is this doing up here? It's not an attic you can like hang out in. It's like there's just wires and insulation up there. So the fact that there's a BB gun up there, it's like, I wonder if somebody got killed with this thing, and that's where they threw it.
Maybe somebody had raccoons or squirrels or something in the attic, and they were trying to get rid of their vermin.
Popping them off, and then they're like, I'm done with... They killed the last one, and they're like, done with this gun. I'm done with this life. Maybe. I mean, I haven't seen anything too like I went in the crawl space when we first moved in here because I didn't think I totally spaced on spiders existing, and there was a bunch down there with me. But our crawl space is gravel, so I'm like, that's usually where they hide the bodies, you know, poltergeist level stuff, man. Which is, you know, I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. I lost track of Halloween stuff. I mean, I could tell you guys creepy stories for days because my friends and I would always like. Have you guys heard of like Munger Road? They made a movie out of it. A very bad.
No, but the town I grew up in had a road, like a creepy road. Buckout Road was the road in the town that I grew up in that everybody told like urban legends about.
Buckout Road sounds creepy.
Yeah, we have cemeteries. A lot of our cemeteries, weird shit happens in them.
Dude, we used to play, is it called Ghosts in the Graveyard? Where, like, one person would be the ghost. You never play Ghosts in the Graveyard?
No.
So it's like tag. One person would be the ghost. Is technically, you should only play it on Halloween, but we played it all the time. You have to have a graveyard, obviously. One person's the ghost. Your friends run around the graveyard and hide. And then you run around so you find them. And there's a safe zone if you can get to it. So the objective is to sneak your way back to the safe zone, meaning you got away from the ghost. But if your friends catch you, or the ghost catches you, you become a ghost now. So now there's 2 ghosts hunting you, and then 3 ghosts and 4 ghosts until the idea is you want to catch everybody and kill them, make them a ghost. But the scary part is you're playing in a graveyard. And my friends and I would do this all the time, and we stopped after. Years ago, we thought it was funny to leave. We just left the graveyard one day with one, and one kid was still in there, and we didn't realize he was still there. Like, we all thought he went home. He was still hiding. It wasn't like we fucking just left him there to be assholes. But we were gone for a while. We were 2 blocks away at the hot dog stand, and he was pissed. And we were like, we looked forever for you, man. We thought you left, and whatever. But that was one of those are classic Halloween games.
That definitely sounds like the start of a story or a horror movie. Like the kid gets left behind and
it's like a revenge story waiting to happen.
I don't know, like something terrible happens.
It's like what is it? What is that series called? Some Fear Street stuff. You know, like, remember me from 12 years ago? I'm back.
Well, the next time we're in some town for a convention, I'm gonna look up where the nearest wax museum is and
fuck you.
Ask you if you want to
go. I will be like, no. You know, that really fucked with me for the rest of that. Like, it's been hard for me to go to like haunted houses and stuff since then because that was when you go into a haunted house knowing it's a haunted house, at least you know you can get scared. But when you go to a wax museum not knowing it's a haunted house, it's a whole different level of scare. If you guys would have, I mean, I wish, as much as I don't wish I was being recorded for that, I wish somebody had recorded my reaction when that alien jumped up and ran out of the room, because I remember the kid behind me was like, "This is the haunted house part of the tour," and I was like, "What?" You know, like I don't want to be in here, man.
I'm just thinking about that in the middle of just other random scenarios, like, oh, this is the haunted house part of what, like you're touring a important historic house in a tourist location. You just get to some room and you're like, oh, this is the haunted house part of the tour.
Like you're having high tea with your friends and everyone's like, this is the haunted house part of the high tea. What? Yeah, I would be. if you guys take me to those things, you'll see. I have no shame. I am scared of those things. I will freak the fuck out. But like, because like my sister,
I can't remember. I feel like I was talking. I don't know who it was, like a group conversation with at after hours at some con, and somebody had the high concept of like, I'm gonna get a booth spot in an art show, and I'm gonna enclose it.
That was I'm pretty sure that was Gavin.
Yeah, turn it into a haunted house and charge people admission to go through the haunted
I'm pretty sure it's Gavin because he's got
show.
all the cryptids and stuff. And I was like, you're going to lose a lot of customers. Like,
that's kind of an amazing, I think that you'd get booted out of the show by the organizers, but I think that's kind of an amazing idea.
I don't think yeah, maybe. Who knows? I guess you'd have to have, the problem with doing it at a show like that is like somebody, like when you go, like if somebody has a problem with what you just did to them, they might sue you, I guess. Like, there are rules, right? Like haunted houses have their own.
They can't touch. They're not supposed to touch you.
Yeah, they're not supposed to touch you. Like here, like they have one called Hades Haunted House, which is super fucking scary. The other thing I did on that trip to Minnesota, minus staying in the haunted mansion, was we did a haunted house that had. It was probably the scariest haunted house I've ever been inside because it brings you in a room with 3 doors and makes you. Your group can only open one door, so each group is being set off on a different path inside this giant haunted house. And I think some of the people in our group have heard this story, but basically, like, we end up in the attic with the old lady in a rocker that looked dead, and I was like, that person's gonna get up and scare us the second we get close. But she never moved. She just sat there. She wasn't rocking or anything, just sat there. And then we go past her, looking at her the whole time, not moving. We get to the door on the other side. The door doesn't move. And then you hear her rocking. And I'm just like, oh my God, don't turn around. Don't turn around. And when you turn around, she's like standing up and starts slowly coming towards you. And just when you think she's going to grab you, the floor drops out from under you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then you end up on a slide.
I've never been in one that complicated.
It was welcome to Minnesota, I guess, right? They're just like, if you die, we're just going to bury you in the back.
We'll just add you to the decorations.
Yeah. And that was... I mean, if you guys ever come to Chicago, go to Hades Haunted House. It's the second scariest haunted house I've ever been in. But
that might guarantee that I don't go to it. I don't know if I want to be.
I mean, Tia might like it actually. I definitely will not go with you, but I can get my sister to go.
I need a rating for haunted houses, and my preferred haunted houses are the ones that people rate as pretty lame, not very scary.
I mean, watch that show. If you get a chance, watch that show I talked about on Netflix because I watched it. It was one of my Halloween movie / shows. Let's watch because somebody recommended it, and it's extreme haunted houses. It's probably the best way to describe them. But there's this one dude on there very specifically who I would probably punch in the face if I ever met him because he basically makes you sign a waiver and he does all sorts of things to people like just. He's physically hurting people who are in there, right? And then you're like, you signed the waiver. And you're like, yeah, man, but you shouldn't be hurting your customers like that. It's one thing to scare them. It's another thing to physically harm them, right? But
yeah, I don't even know if I want to watch a documentary about that. Maybe.
I mean, it's not all about him. It's basically about people who run their own haunted houses. Because the other ones in there aren't as bad. They're actually pretty interesting because you see, like, they're like people like us who are just like, I like Halloween. I want to do a haunted house. How do I do, like, you know, when you were kids and you did like a Halloween party, you probably did the thing with the lights off where you had like the bowl of spaghetti was the brain. And it's the same kind of like a more elaborate version of that, right? Because there's a dude on there who's trying to figure out how to make like, I remember he was trying to make like a skeleton, like a skull, just like cackle, which you can obviously just go probably buy a very expensive version of that somewhere, but he built it himself, which is kind of cool, right?
I've always thought it would be really cool to be an actor at a haunted house for a season. Like, probably really, really hard work, like really exhausting too, but like I think that would be a pretty interesting experience.
I've had several friends who did that around here. They said it was always fun. I mean, it's fun to they like scaring people. Do you guys know Chris Burdett?
Yeah.
He used to do that. He used to be in like horror flicks and stuff. Like I think he's in a lot of the trauma flicks. He might have been in Toxic Avenger.
Oh, really? I don't know what he was in. I know I've seen some pictures of him in
I don't know if he was the Toxic Avenger, but I think he might have been in it. But I think he's doing a lot of haunted house stuff. He's doing a lot of horror movie type stuff. So he would be perfect for that show because he'd be like, here's how we're going to build this thing. you know, whereas I'd be like, where's the closest Michaels? So we're a little over, which is fine. But I want to one more time plug your Kickstarter before I forget.
Oh
For
yeah, yeah.
For anyone who's watching, Joanna has a Kickstarter right now called Lanterns Burn Bright. Yep, I got it right. And I think it's a cool idea. It's basically there's short stories that form one full story at the end, right? During
Yeah,
the
so
Halloween
it's a
season.
series of it's going to be a series of envelopes that you open for 2 weeks leading up to Halloween, and then inside each one there's a mini art print, and then on the back there's part of a continuing story, and then the prints actually fit together to form one giant scene, one giant haunted house scene.
That's cool.
Yeah,
And-
that's neat.
And there's also a version with stickers, also the deluxe version. And then some extra stuff, like I also have made tapestries
Oh, nice.
that have the whole thing. I don't want to spoiler the whole image, but
Yeah,
this is
don't spoil the whole thing.
a big tapestry with the haunted house on it.
I'll drop a link to the Kickstarter at the bottom of this video so people can go see it. I like your seal too, man. Little pumpkin seal.
Thank you. I had somebody, I got them from Etsy. It's like a wax seal, but it's pre-made and it just sticks on because I'm like, I don't think I want to learn how to do proper wax seals like under duress when I have to do like hundreds of them.
Yeah, hundreds of them. Be like,
I'm gonna be like, I can just see myself like in tears trying to like learn how to do wax seals, just like making a mess.
It's your new full-time job.
I mean, I looked into wax seals for my stuff, and then I decided it might have been Gavin actually. Somebody was like, "That's really not your brand." So then I started looking at holographic stickers instead, but they are much easier to put on. Also, I will plug Tia. You have an Etsy page, and it has tons of elaborate Halloween. Themed
I just got my new site all loaded up and ready to go.
Okay, yeah, I'll drop a link at the bottom of this.
And you make a lot of like banners, like the banner that's behind you on your wall, right?
Yeah, I make all those guys. I do a lot of banners, watercolor stuff, mostly spooky. I also have Patreon with a print of the month thing, so that's fun.
Yeah, you guys got your Halloween stuff down to a science, which is good.
I got this.
I have one of those.
For people that don't know, I have one of those die cut machines, so I can make my own vinyl stickers. So I was like, I'm gonna make glitter tumblers, but make it spooky. So I came up with the pumpkin spiced afterlife, and
I think that's what's cool about that. What I liked about that I mean, I got one of those because I loved seeing the process of like you had to figure out like you can't just leave it there to dry. You had to get the machine that rotates it slowly, and there's a whole like growth period where we got to see Tia learn on the fly, and we were just like,
I started with like keeping them honest because when you do these, they have resin on them. So when the resin's drying, you have to keep it constantly turning, or else it's just gonna drip off.
Oh,
so
wow.
The first ones I made this like ghetto rig with like a stick coming out of a box, so I could stick the cup on one end and like turn it, but I had to turn it for like 2 hours, and I was not going to do that for 12 more mugs. So I got, they make an actual thing called a cup tisserie. So it's like a little rotisserie thing, but you stick a cup on it instead of a chicken.
Wow.
It just like goes on its own.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, it was like I learned about that through Tia, and I was just like, that's interesting. Like,
yeah, I'm the one in their group chat thing that comes up with all the weird crafty things. Like, hey, look at this weird thing. Let's see what happens.
I'm not gonna deny that.
my limited experiments with resin, because everybody seemed to be doing so much cool stuff with like resin coated things. I like tried it once, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna master this. I think I'm gonna not do it again.
I mean, resin is just too hard to work. Like I told you guys earlier, I'm thinking about getting a resin printer to print sculpts. Andrew and I have been talking about creating some sculpts for my series. We'll see. I'm thinking about creating little characters and stuff, but I don't know the first thing about printing 3D stuff. Andrew does though, so I'll just lean on him for that part of it till I get better at it.
He's kind of like me.
Yeah, Andrew is like the 3D, like, you know, I've known Andrew for a while, and he's always been just kind of like, you know, he does a lot of illustration work, and the art side of it I knew about. The 3D stuff I'm just recently learning in the last like year maybe, where it's just like you just get on a call with him for like 20 minutes and he's talking about Blender to you, and you're just like, yeah, this guy knows his shit, you know, like.
Yeah, we like to fuck around and find out.
That's the way to do it, man. I've been doing I'm not going to show any of it right now, but I've been working on acrylic paintings, acrylic not acrylic.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about that a while ago. So I really want to see that.
I'll once I get more of it done, I'll send you guys photographs. But basically, I got on a call with Justin Donaldson one day, and he was talking about, he works primarily in like poster paint and gouache, and so I invested a little bit in some of it, and I'm trying to see if I can do some traditional stuff. But yeah, you got to really just fuck around, and there's a lot of trash, you know. You're just like, I'm not gonna share this. Gouache is an interesting medium to me. It's my first time really playing with it, so.
Yeah, I love it. I've pretty much switched entirely to gouache at this point from watercolors.
Yeah, watercolors and inks is what I was used to. Mm-hmm. So, all right, well, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about for Halloween, which I think we've hit a lot of points, I would definitely like to do a Halloween talk closer to the season. Maybe we can do like a, I don't know, horror themed movies and stuff. I don't know, something. It's just we'll be a little bit more prepared. I don't know. I think we did okay though. There's definitely a Salem trip in my future because I definitely want to check it out. But now I feel like any place I stay is gonna be haunted. So. Yeah.
Well, that's why you just stay out where I am and then drive out to Salem.
I mean, you told us your house is haunted, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I guess maybe not.
You just stay in like a chain motel in the Boston suburbs. You should be okay. I don't think.
Unless like they built it on a graveyard,
like the Econo Lodge be haunted.
We do have Indian burial grounds around here.
Yeah, see, man, you're gonna be like, you move the stones but not the bodies.
Hands gonna come out of the ice machine.
Fucking scared. Let me, on a side note, when I first saw Poltergeist, the scariest thing to me was a clown, because clowns scare the shit out of me. I probably shouldn't have told you guys that, because they do some weird shit to me. I read it as a kid, and it made me super hyper and scared of clowns. And then my cousin showed me the old Tim Curry movie. Remember, ABC released that movie in 2 parts. Yeah, and it was on TV before it was. Mm-hmm. It wasn't actually a full movie, right? And I just like, I've gotten to the point where I can't even stand just clowns being in the room. My sister had a birthday party for my niece once, and there was a clown there, and I remember she told the clown to come talk to me, ask me to get whatever they needed. And as the clown was walking, I literally had to stop the conversation I was having with somebody to be like, don't come any closer. And this clown was about to step up. I'm like, I'm not joking, man. I will punch you. Like, they just give me the...
So, clown mob at a LuxCon is what I'm hearing.
I mean, if you guys want to attend my funeral a week after, that's cool. And or your own funerals, because I probably will end up punching a bunch of you guys. And
I'll bring some of my tarantulas.
Oh my god. Do not. I will kill spiders. See, here's the problem with being the Rusty group. You guys all know my fears, which is bad. But hey, Kurum said we had a good show, so I appreciate him watching. And
hi, Kurum.
That's great. Maybe we'll get him on someday. It's hard to even get him on a video call with us. So
he's a ghost.
He is a ghost in the machine. Maybe he doesn't exist. He's just there. I've been talking to a non-existent entity this whole time. All right, I'm gonna take us offline. So give me 1 minute. Thanks for everybody who was watching. We did have several people popping in and out. Kurum and Duruk definitely were talking in the chat, and so was this weird bot named Cupcake something or another, which I will fucking handle before the next show because I'm getting tired of that shit. And then I'll drop a link to all you guys' stuff at the end. No one has ever seen me, Kurum said. This maybe I definitely had dinner with you.
Yeah, at a LuxCon, I think.
So we'll see.
I've seen you at the peanut place.
We were all, maybe we all died at that peanut place, and this is how we exist now.
Crazy how they killed us.
This is how we exist. Oh, he said Durek, me, and the bot are the same person. All right, I'm gonna take us offline. Give me 1 second, and then we'll see how long it takes to upload. Thanks for watching, guys. I don't have a guest on tomorrow because it's a holiday weekend, and I'm okay. And then next week I have my friend Chris Engel and my friend Sean Farrell, and we're gonna do a talk on Transformers. And if you guys don't know Chris, he goes on these epic rants about any subject. So it'll be worth watching just to laugh your ass off when he starts talking. Durek said we have all seen Crumbs. We are all a lie. Sure, man. But we've established that it's the same person, so he's trying to throw us off, guys.